you start to view humanity as a plague on the surface of the earth, like a mold or something.
Right.
And but this is actually false. The Earth could take probably 10 times the current civilization. The population could be, you could 10x the population without destroying the rainforest. So the environmental movement, and I'm an environmentalist, has gone too far. They've gone way too far. If you start thinking that humans are bad, then the natural conclusion is humans should die out. Now, I'm headed to an international sort of AI safety conference later tonight, leaving in about 3 hours. I'm going to meet with the British Prime Minister, a number of other people. So you have to say, like, how could AI go wrong? Well, if AI gets programmed by the extinctionists, its utility function will be the extinction of humanity.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, particularly if...
They won't even think it's bad, like that guy.
Right. Yeah. If you let
It's
AI...
messed up.
There's a lot of decisions that AI would make that would be very similar to eugenics. I mean, there would be some radical changes in what people are allowed to and not allowed to do that allow them to survive that may be detrimental in terms of like pollution and things like that, but it may be the only solution they have in their area. I mean, maybe AI would come up with some sort of a different structure in terms of how they get power and resources, but...
There's no shortage of power. Like we talked about solar power for cars. The issue is that cars just have a very low surface area. But you could actually power the entire United States with 100 miles by 100 miles of solar.
Really?
Yes.
So you could just pick some dead spot that you fly over.
Which there are plenty.
Cover that sucker up with
Correct.
solar panels and charge the whole country.
Absolutely.
24/7.
You need batteries, but yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's not hard. Meaning it's very feasible. In fact, the sun is converting over 4 million tons of mass to energy every second, and it's no maintenance. That thing just works. We have a giant fusion reactor in the sky. That is the sun. In fact, someone's like, well, what about radiation? I'm like, the sun is literally a nuclear reactor in the sky.
Yeah.
Are you scared to go in daylight?
Rocks have radiation.
Yes.
Yeah.
The radiation risk is greatly overestimated.
I always wonder why radiation is always bad in real life, but always awesome in comic books.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like
Get bitten by a
gets
radioactive spider,
superpowers.
and suddenly you have spider abilities.
Get hit with gamma rays, you become the Hulk.
What if you're radioactive cockroach? You'd be like the cockroach man.
Yeah, you can be one of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the problem is, like, most people just don't understand what radiation is, and so it just sounds like a mysterious, invisible death ray.
Well, it's almost like drugs. Like, we think of it, we put a blanket over it, like it's all one thing. Radiation is Chernobyl.
Right. I mean, the things you can actually tour Chernobyl right now. So
can you really?
Yes.
You can actually go to where the meltdown
Well, I
is?
mean, there's a war zone, but
Close
apart
enough?
from that, the issue is, more getting shot than it is. You don't have a radiation risk. But the problem is, like, I think when people don't understand what radiation is, they can't see it, they can't feel it. They think, well, I could just die at any moment, like from a magic death ray.
Right.
I've had people say, like, oh, the radiation from their phone is going to hurt them, or they're scared of the microwave. I'm like, when you say radiation, do you mean particles or photons? And if you mean photons, what wavelength? And then, like, I don't know what you mean. They don't know anything about that.
Right. They just have. They're afraid of the term. But
yes.
It's because of 3 Mile Island and Fukushima. We've been.
Yeah, but
told.
nobody died of radiation from Fukushima.
True.
Not one person.
True.
In fact, but I was asked by people in California, like when Fukushima happened, whether that radiation would get to California. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And so, actually, to help support Japan, I flew to Fukushima and ate locally grown vegetables on TV. And I'm still alive.
I have a friend, he's very smart, but he won't eat fish out of the Pacific because he's worried about the radiation from Fukushima.
Yeah, that's irrational. There is no physics substance to that, I would say, at all, not even slightly.
I'm going to send him this clip.
Yes.
Go back to the sushi place, bro.
No, you should be. If you eat too much tuna, you're gonna have
Mercury.
Yes, correct. Mercury
Yeah.
poisoning from tuna is a real thing.
You can get arsenic from sardines too. I found that out the hard way.
Really?
Yeah.
Ate too many sardines?
Yeah, I got my blood work done, and the doctor says you have arsenic in your blood. And I go, someone poisoning me? He goes, no, it's very, very low level.
It's like is your girlfriend angry at you?
He
There
goes,
have
do
been
you eat a lot of
situations
fish?
like that.
And I said, yeah, I eat like 3 cans of sardines a night.
That's a lot of sardines,
Yeah,
man.
I love sardines.
I mean, yeah, they're
I
pretty,
love them.
You
I really do.
sardines.
I've always loved sardines.
Okay.
I love them.
But turns out, like, you can't eat too much of it because they're
Yeah, they're not good for you.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, a little sardines once in a while, but not 3 cans a night.
Well, for me, it's like I come home late from the comedy club and I want something easy to eat, and I don't want to
So
stop
open a
and
can
get
of sardines.
fast food, so I open up a few cans of sardines. And I'll, watch a little TV, eat a few cans of sardines. I was
guess
doing it
that-
every night. And then I stopped doing it, and I got my blood work done a couple months later. It was gone.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
don't eat
I
too many
think
sardines.
anchovies really pep up a Caesar salad.
Yeah, they do. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of anchovies as well.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pizzas ever is pineapple and anchovy.
Okay.
Double pineapple, double anchovy.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That's
It's the sweet and the salty, and then you got the tomato sauce and the cheese. It's my favorite pizza. It's
Yeah.
very good.
I mean, as a kid, I was like very much against Hawaiian pizza, and as an adult, I like it.
Hawaiian's good,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you, anchovies and pineapple is
Yeah.
the bomb diggity. That's the bomb
Okay,
diggity.
I'll give it a shot.
That's the bomb diggity.
Hey, wait, can we order some right now? Is that feasible?
I bet we could.
Okay, let's try it. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
I can do it. We'll have someone out there.
Have Jeff
I'm a little busy.
order a very large pizza with double pineapple, double anchovies.
Great, fantastic. I'm hungry.
Let's fucking go.
Yes,
Let's fucking
LFG.
go.
Verify
No time like the
Yeah.
present. Enjoy life.
Well, there's got to be a good spot around here. Tell them
mean-
we'll find a good spot and tell them it's for us. They'll cook it up. If they
Don't jizz on the pizza. All
tell
right.
them we'll mention their name. Tell them we'll mention their name on the podcast.
Don't tell them it's us.
Yeah, tell them it's us. Fuck it. If they're gonna close, tell them we'll mention their
Like,
name.
what is this? What is this salty sauce that's so mysterious?
Oh no! Right? Don't tell them it's us. Good call. Yeah, don't tell them it's us. Make sure you don't buy it from any liberals.
What is this salty, tangy substance?
Don't buy it from East Austin. Don't buy it from anyone who still wears a mask. There's a lot of them out there. There's
Yeah.
a lot of them out there. They're still masked up. It's wild.
Yeah, once in a while I see someone paranoid. I'm like,
On the street.
yeah.
I saw a guy on the street the other day just walking around with a mask on. I'm like, okay, buddy. You look like you're about 28 years old.
Yeah,
I think you're going to be okay.
be okay. Yeah.
You're probably not going to be okay breathing that fucking same air in that mask and all the bacteria you're spitting out.
Yeah,
It's attaching to that cloth.
yeah. Masks are not like some magic health shield. I mean, there are times where a mask is warranted. Like if a surgeon is operating on you or whatever, then you don't want the surgeon spitting in your wound.
Of course.
But most of the time, a mask is not good for you.
Yeah,
and,
if you can breathe out of it, that means you're breathing in. That means you're
Yeah.
also exhaling. So, like, how much is it filtering? Like, what is it? Particles?
It's like I'd say like a mask is much like a sort of a shield in battle in that it'll help protect you a little bit from arrows and stuff, but doesn't make you arrow proof. We're just
Right.
talking about shooting arrows and stuff.
Right. There's.
So
all
I mean,
sorts of
there are
areas.
times when masks are warranted, but most of the time it's actually counterproductive.
Well, that was one of the things about the old Twitter was the propaganda and
Yeah.
the adherence to whatever the CDC was saying and the dismissing of legitimate scientists, guys like Jay Bhattacharya from
Yeah.
Stanford and legit guys.
Yes.
And they were suppressing them and even banning them. They banned Alex Berenson. I mean, it was wild. They banned Alex for essentially reading peer-reviewed papers.
Yeah. No, I mean, all Twitter was basically an arm of the government.
Yeah.
So
Was that shocking? Like, what was that like? Because to me, that was the most bizarre, was the Twitter files. When you let Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi and all those guys get in the Twitter, and the response where Matt Taibbi gets audited. I mean, which is just wild. I mean, it's just so blatant and so in your face.
yeah, it's weird. No, I mean, the degree to which, and by the way, Jack didn't really know this, but the degree to which Twitter was simply an arm of the government was not well understood by the public, and it was whatever the official government. I mean, it was like Pravda basically. A state publication is the way to think of old Twitter. It's a state publication.
And was the justification from their perspective that they are progressive liberals, they have the right intentions, it's important that they stay in power, the progressive liberals stay in government and power because this is their...
There was basically oppression of any views that would even, I would say, be considered middle of the road. But certainly anything on the right. I'm not talking about like far right. I'm just talking mildly right. The people like Republicans were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats. Now that's because old Twitter was fundamentally controlled by the far left. It was like completely controlled by the far left, and that's why I say like San Francisco Berkeley is a niche ideology. It's hard to say like, is there a place that's more far left than San Francisco Berkeley?
Maybe Portland.
Maybe Portland, but it's like
right there.
It's like it's those two places are the most far left places in America.
Yes.
So from their standpoint, everything is to the right, including moderates.
Right.
So now, if you internalize a far left position, everything seems wrong to you that is not far left.
Right.
And so they naturally oppressed anything that didn't agree with their views. That's why I say that it was an accidental far left information weapon. So, because it's like Silicon Valley attracts the smartest engineers, the smartest sort of technologists and programmers from around the world. They created an information weapon that was then harnessed by the far left, who could not themselves create the weapon, but happened to be co-located where the technologists were.
It happened to be aligned politically with the people that possessed it.
The technologists generally are moderate, maybe moderate left, but they're not far left. That's why I say San Francisco Berkeley. It doesn't even extend to South San Francisco or even to Palo Alto. So SF Berkeley is the most far left. Perhaps in a competition with Portland, but I'd say SF Berkeley is more far left even than Portland. Like literally in America, we're talking about an area that's maybe a 10-mile radius. And so normally the effects, the negative effects of a far left ideology would be geographically limited to a 10-mile radius. That's like it's small, like so any bad effects of that ideology would be geographically constrained under normal circumstances and have been in the past. But when you have basically a technological megaphone, which was Twitter and social media in general, suddenly the far left are handed a megaphone to Earth, an incredibly powerful technology weapon that they themselves could not create, but they happened to be co-located with the technologists who created it by accident.
Is it shocking that more people don't understand how dangerous that is?
I think some people understand.
Some people do.
Some people understand. So, I mean, from the standpoint of some people who used to be at Twitter, the people are like, well, it's a big shift to the right. That is correct. It is a shift to the right because everything is to the right if you're far left. Everything is to the right. But how many far left people have actually been suspended or banned from Twitter, now X? 0. So it's really just moved to the center, but from the perspective of the far left, it's moved to the right. It's like everything's relative.
The difference in moderation.
Sorry, I should say, it propagated that far left philosophy not just to America, but to everywhere on Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the same level of suppression in other countries as well?
Yes.
But the Taliban is on Twitter, right?
Like I always think of like, hey, Mr. Taliban, tally me a banana. Hey, Mr. Taliban.
I mean, there's
tally me a
definitely
banana.
some people on Twitter that are.
Daylight coming, I want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the point is, from my standpoint, that is that X, FK, Twitter, should represent the sort of collective consciousness of humanity. So now that means that there are going to be views on there that you don't like or disagree with. But that's humanity. So are you going to exclude them or not? Now, I mean, if somebody, breaks the law, then the account is suspended. I mean, if they actively advocate murder, then the account is suspended. We do have what we call like the kind of United Nations exclusion rule, which is that you can have, say, the Ayatollah, who, would prefer that Israel didn't exist, for example. But he's allowed to go to the UN building in New York. In fact, generally officials from Iran do in fact go to the UN building in New York, even though they're a heavily sanctioned country. So I think that there's merit to having, just like there's some merit to the UN. One can disagree with the UN, and I think we shouldn't have a world government that we bow down to. But in fact, that's risky for civilization. But I think you do want to have the leaders of countries represented on social media. You want to hear what they have to say, even if what they say is terrible.
But I think that is true across the board. And I think one of the things you just said that's very important is that's humanity. And I think it's important that a social media platform, especially the biggest one, represents humanity so we understand what we're talking about. Because we have this distorted idea of what people think and want and need because everyone only exists inside this ideological bubble and anything outside of that bubble gets censored.
Yes.
Then that literally changes the tone of the entire country.
Yes.
Changes what people think is okay and not
Correct.
okay, makes people feel differently.
Yes.
It's not humanity. It's different. It's a very forced version of humanity.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the whole point of free speech, free speech is only relevant. The First Amendment is only relevant if you allow people you don't like to say things you don't like. Because if you like it, you don't need a First Amendment. So the whole point of free speech is that, frankly, even people you hate say things you hate. Because if people you hate can say things that you hate, that means that they can't stop you from saying what you want to say.
Right.
Which is very, very important.
Right. But the problem with Twitter is it was not the case. It was
Correct.
It was people that you hate couldn't say.
Anyone they didn't like, they censored.
Yeah.
Or what's called de-amplify.
No, well, not just de-amplify, but under the behest of the government would suppress real news, which was very bizarre.
Yes.
So they were very aware of something being accurate, and they still suppressed it because the government wanted them to suppress it.
I mean, in my view, there have been severe First Amendment violations by multiple government agencies, and there should be repercussions for that.
And do different laws apply because it's a privately owned social media company? I mean, what laws do apply in terms of, like, when you're looking at it?
If the
one of
government
the arguments that the leftists would use is it's a private company; they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, it's funny that when the shoe's on the other foot, they now say the private company can't do whatever it wants.
Well, yeah, now they're upset.
No, it's like, but the government itself is not allowed to censor speech. But in my view, the government de facto did censor speech, and there should at least be a case where that is heard by the public. Because if the government severely coerces, a platform, a sort of coerces the press, then I think that or should be a First Amendment violation.
Well, they can't do it with other media forms, right? They're
Yeah.
not allowed to do it with Any other? They're not. They're not
Right.
allowed.
If they try to do that with a newspaper, that
Right.
get in trouble.
Or would they? That's the question. It's like you didn't know about the federal government. You didn't know about the intelligence agencies inside of Twitter until we found out. Like, do you think that this is ubiquitous? Is this?
It's absolutely all the social media companies. In fact, right now X, or formerly known as Twitter, is the only one that is not kowtowing to the government. It's the only one. There isn't. All the others just do exactly what the government wants.
That is wild.
Yes.
What I was getting at, do you think that that's everywhere?
Yes.
Do you think that that's CNN? Do you think that that's the New York Times? Do you think that that's the Washington Post? Because if they were going to infiltrate media, if they were going to infiltrate social media.
It is weird the degree to which the media is in lockstep. Like, why is the media in lockstep? And why doesn't the media question the government? They used to.
Right.
Why don't they do that anymore? Seems weird. Something doesn't add up.
What do you think? Well, there seems like there's a bunch of factors, right? I think one of the big factors is pharmaceutical drug companies allowed to advertise on television. And we're one of 2 countries in the world that allow that.
I actually agree with pharmaceutical advertising, provided it is truthful. Because there could be some drug that is helpful to someone, but obviously the claims need to be accurate. So I actually think pharmaceutical advertising, if it is accurate, and I think it actually, to play devil's advocate here, I think pharmaceutical advertising is generally accurate. I think that's actually okay. Now I should say that a lot of the censorship that we see is coming from indirectly from advertisers and advertising agencies, and from PR companies, who want a particular viewpoint pushed, or are being driven by nonprofits to push a particular. Like what'll happen is there'll be a sort of a group of nonprofits or that push advertisers to advertise or not advertise on a particular platform. One often hears of the sort of George Soros boogeyman, but Soros actually, he is, I believe, the top contributor to the Democratic Party. The second one was Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
So, and Soros, I don't know. He had a very difficult upbringing, in my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity. That's my opinion.
Really?
Yeah. He's doing things that erode the fabric of civilization. Getting DAs elected who refuse to prosecute crime. That's part of the problem in San Francisco and LA and a bunch of other cities. So why would you do that?
Was it humanity, or is it just the United States as a whole?
He's pushing things in other countries too, not
doing
just
the
here.
same thing.
Yeah. Now, George at this point is pretty old. He's not. He's basically a bit senile at this point. But he's very smart. And he's very good at arbitrage. Famously he shorted the British pound. That's sort of how I think he made his first money, was shorting the pound. So he's good at spotting, basically arbitrage, like spotting value for money that other people don't see. So one of the things he noticed was that that the value for money in local races is much higher than it is in national races. So the lowest value for money is a presidential race. Then next lowest value for money is a Senate race, then a Congress, and but once you get to sort of city and state district attorneys, the value for money is extremely good. And Soros realized that you don't actually need to change the laws, you just need to change how they're enforced. If nobody chooses to enforce the law, or the laws are differentially enforced, it's like changing the laws. That's what he figured out.
But it's what's
an
stunning
arbitrage.
That this trend, that people haven't pulled the brakes on this and have it reverse course.
I'm pulling the brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, pulling the brakes right now.
Yeah, you are. But you might be the only one.
Well, I think more people should. Most people just don't want to rock the boat. Most people are looking for acceptance from society, and they're you know, if there's some negative press article, they're like shattering.